Today, I want to take you through the 7 easiest flowers to grow from seed. A few years ago, I got really into growing cut flowers. I had a whole section of my garden that was dedicated purely to cut flowers, so that way I could grow them and cut them and bring them inside, because I loved the idea of having fresh flowers in my house. But it turns out I actually don't really care to keep fresh flowers in my house because of the work of changing the water and cutting the stems on them. Turns out I'm lazy, but I love growing them to give away as gifts for other people when they come over for dinner parties or I go visit them at their house. And during that time of learning to grow cut flowers, I found out that there are some amazing flowers out there that are so simple to grow from seed and also just look incredibly beautiful in the garden. And so I wanted to take you through those 7 seeds. And what makes them so easy is the fact that they are super simple to plant, and when they grow, they're easy to care for, and there's not much fuss that goes along with them. And so they're perfect for anyone if you're a new gardener, new to flowers, or you just want to even grow cut flowers. A lot of these are perfect for that. And so I'm going to take you through those today. What is up? My name is Bree from Urban Gardening Canada, and I garden in Ottawa Zone 5. And I wanted to start with my absolute favorite flower of all time, and that is zinnias. So when I first got into gardening, I actually had no idea what zinnias are, and it turns out that they are easily one of the most common flowers that you see in gardens. Last summer, I didn't end up growing any. I'm not sure what happened. It was just a chaotic year for me, and I didn't have any zinnias in my garden, and I can't believe how much I missed having them. They are just such a different flower structure and color than a lot of other flowers that you can grow or have in your garden. And so one of my favorite varieties to grow is the Benary's Giant, and I learned about this one specifically for cut flowers, and so this one is an absolute favorite for me. And they are really simple to start from seed. You just bury the seed and they're gonna pop up for you as long as you keep them watered and under some grow lights. And a benefit is that these are one of those flowers that if you pinch the stem, it will come out into multiple branches and give you even more blooms. And the Benary's Giants are my favorite because the flower is just really large and beautiful. But there are other varieties out there that are smaller blooms if that's what you're looking for, where you can get smaller and more abundant blooms, versus the Benary's come with a few less blooms because they're so large. But what I love about zinnias is, first of all, the pollinators love them, including butterflies, but also that they just come in a massive range of colors. You can get them in white, yellow, lime green, but my absolute favorite is the purple or the salmon colored ones. They are just so vibrant and hard to find in a lot of other flowers, and so those ones are my absolute favorite, and that is why they are number 1 on my list for you today. The second flower that's easy to grow from seed is sunflowers. Now, I personally don't grow them very often because I have a really hard time with squirrels eating my sunflowers. And in my last house, we had a security camera in the backyard that would catch any movement. And the amount of videos I watched of squirrels popping the heads off of my sunflowers, chewing on a few leaves, and then tossing it into the garden just made me so sad. But they're really, really easy to grow from seed, and a lot of kids, of course, love having them in their backyard. So if you do have kids and you're looking at growing flowers, then sunflowers are a great way to go. They come in so many shapes and sizes. You can get single stem sunflowers where there's just one flower on it, or branching sunflowers that produce multiple blooms on one flower. They have ones, I think there's a variety called Sunzilla, and they're supposed to grow 16 or 17 feet high. There's a teddy bear variety that has, instead of the iconic brown circle in the middle, is full of different like frilly blooms. There are burgundy flowers, brown flowers. The range is amazing. And a few years ago, I actually grew a sunflower in a pot because I thought that was the best way to protect it from squirrels. And it turns out that sunflowers can even be grown in pots. They just grow a lot shorter and have smaller blooms, but it's totally possible, whether you have an in-ground garden or a pot, to be able to grow sunflowers, and I think that's really cool. The thing about both the sunflower and the zinnia is that the seeds are quite large, and so are the plants that come out of it, and so they're really easy to work with because they aren't fragile. And so whether you are growing and have a hard time holding seeds, you've got kids or elderly family with you, they're all really simple to grow because they're not fragile in the size that they come out of the seed. All right, next up on the list is calendula. Not everybody grows this one, but it's such a good plant to grow in your garden. It is really, really simple to start from seed, and the seeds are really cool looking. They look like little dried up beetles, or like little Bowsers, or what I call them. And so these are really nice to grow from seed. They come in a huge range of colors. They look somewhat like a daisy, and you can get them in yellow and orange, or this one that I have called strawberry blonde that is more of like a beigey pink. And what's really great about calendula is that they're super cold hardy, and so you can plant them out quite early in the spring, and they last all the way through till the cold of fall, so you can get blooms for a really long period of time. And the calendula is used in a lot of salves and other medicinal lotions that you can put on your skin, and it's really good for your skin. So people are using it a lot of times for different medicinal purposes. I haven't used it myself, so if you do decide to use it for that, I really recommend that you check with another creator or website that gives you some really good directions on that, but I have seen it used in a lot of products to help with skin. All right, before we get into our fourth flower, I just wanted to do a really quick shout out to a course that I have launching in 1 week from now, and I'm so excited. I have built a course called Adapt and Thrive Gardening in a Changing Climate, and it's an entire course to teach you how to be a more sustainable gardener, not only on how to have a smaller footprint on the planet, but it's mainly to teach you how to build a stronger garden. So instead of watching as your garden gets beaten down by heavy rains or heavy winds or hail, or is getting wilted from drought, this course is all about teaching you the different ways that you can do a good job of setting your garden up to be prepared for this weather and being able to protect your garden. And so this is going live in 1 week, and I'm so excited. And so I'm going to put a link to the course below here so you can check it out. And I hope that you enjoy it. And now let's get back into our fourth flower. All right, so this one is another fun one, and this is cosmos. And so cosmos is another fairly common flower that you see, and what's so fun about them beyond being easy to start from seed is that these grow into quite large bushes if you allow them to, and they can grow 5 to 6 feet tall. So it really depends on how much space you give them, and there are just such a wide variety of these that exist on the market. You can get them in white, pink, yellow, orange. There's ones that look like the cupcake tin foil on the outside of them. I have one called a rose bonbon, and that one's a double petaled one that still allows bees access to the flower. And this one is really beautiful and frilly. And so these are really simple to grow from seed as well. And again, they benefit from pinching once they grow to a certain height, so they branch out. And when these flowers branch, they turn into like tree stems. You can get a cosmos stem that's huge. And it's really important to support them with staking because they get so heavy and so loaded with flowers that if you get a heavy rainstorm or heavy winds, they will crack and fall over. And so this one really benefits from staking, and they're just absolutely beautiful in the garden. The bees adore them. And the benefit to cosmos is they're super simple to save seeds from, and they readily reseed all over your garden. So you can either allow your plants to seed themselves in your garden again, or you can save seeds from them to give to your friends and family and to grow again next year. All right, so the fifth one is another favorite of mine. All these flowers are my favorite, and that is nasturtiums. If you don't know anything about nasturtiums, I will link a video below for you that is all about growing them and why you should include them in your garden. But nasturtiums are an edible flower, so their leaves, stems, seed pods, and the flower itself are all edible. And I also have a recipe on my website for nasturtium chips. They're like kale chips, but using the nasturtium leaves. So I'll link that below for you as well if you're interested in learning how to make those. But these are a really amazing flower, not only because they're edible, but they're meant as a trap crop. And so this is meaning that instead of the bad pests going to your vegetables, they get drawn into the nasturtiums and they damage the nasturtium instead. And this way it saves your other plants. I've only ever had issues with leaf miners in my nasturtiums, but I haven't seen other pests on them, so to me it's to be determined if they are a good trap crop. But they're actually just one of the most beautiful flowers. You can get them in yellows and oranges, and they come in dark pinks. And you can also get ones where the leaves are variegated, where they are green and white in them, and they just billow out of a garden and just add such a beautiful appearance to your garden. And so for me, they're a must-have every single year. And these are so easy to grow from seed because you can plant them directly outside. So I always just sow them in the soil in the springtime right along the edges of my garden, so that way they can grow and billow out. And so I highly recommend including nasturtiums in your garden. All right, so seed number 6 is a classic, and that is marigolds. Save yourself some money and stop buying marigolds from the greenhouse or the garden center, because they are super easy to grow from seed. And I think you should be growing them from seed instead of buying them from a store, because there are such a huge variety of marigolds beyond the little stumpy ones that you can get at the greenhouse. And they come in a big range of colors as well. You can get them in white, yellow, orange, or red. And they come in a varied height from the 6 inches that you could buy at the greenhouse all the way up to 5 feet tall if you want to use them for cut flowers. And they're so simple to start from seed in the soil. They'll pop up nice and quick for you. And then they're really easy to save seeds from as well. And so then you never have to buy another seedling or seed again, because they're super simple to save. And the variety that I have is called Linnaeus Flaming something. I'll put it in here for you guys. And this one's really fun to save seeds from. And it just has the old bud that's on there, and it's like pulling a bunch of matchsticks out of the old flower head. So they're just really fun to grow and really fun to pick the seeds out of. And so I highly recommend growing these from seed. Okay, and so now we're on our 7th and final flower, and that is sweet peas. And so these are one of your most fragrant flowers that you could be growing. They are similar to your normal climbing peas, but instead of enjoying the food from the pea pod, you're actually going to enjoy the flowers. And these also come in a really wide range of colors, from really dark purples to beautiful pastels. And to me, they smell like jelly beans. That's the best way I can describe them. It's a very like sweet candy-like flavor. You can cut them and bring them into your house. And so the only part for me that I find difficult about growing sweet peas is that they need to climb. And so when you do plant them outside, you want to make sure that you already have a space set up for them to climb, because otherwise it just gets a little bit chaotic. And so these can be sown indoors, so that way you get a head start on your sweet peas. Since they are a cold season crop, they do want to be flowering in the cooler weather of the springtime, which means you do want to start them a little bit earlier. And so that is why it's 7th on my list, because it is easy to grow, but does require a little bit of extra information in order to grow. And so what I love about all 7 of these seeds is that you can cut and bring all of these flowers inside if you wanted to. They all would be beautiful together or separate, and they're just such a really beautiful flower to have in your garden to add structure and color, and then be able to bring them inside as well. And all of these seeds are quite large, so they're easy to work with, and that's what I also love about them. I hope you found today's video really helpful, and if you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in this next video here.